This is the 21.5 Show.
You're on 121.5, the emergency frequency.
Whether you're a professional pilot or want to be one, you're in the right place.
Let's get started.
Join professional aviators Dylan and Max as they talk their experience in the airlines, business aviation, and more.
Life is good.
Industry experts, unique stories, and plenty of fun. This is the 21.5 Show.
Here we go.
Welcome back. It is another episode of the 21.5 Show, a podcast devoted to professional pilots by two devoted professional pilots. Max, devoted to our craft, devoted to the industry, devoted to landing on the runway and keeping the airplane on the runway, which is still a big problem apparently in our business. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. The devotion is real. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm welcoming the listeners, not you. You're a host.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you can be welcoming to me too.
Oh, okay. Welcome, Max. It's great to see you, Max.
Yeah, you too.
For the listeners that don't have video access here, Matt, we've got this new microphone thing on Max's mic, and it's the size of a small foam bowling ball. And so it's kind of blocking a little bit of his face. It's almost like a lunar eclipse is moving by, and you're going to be eclipsed.
Like a small seedless watermelon
Yeah.
being thrust upon my mic.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
The vocal quality is incredible. Anyways, welcome to the show. My name is Dylan, a pilot.
When I thought I couldn't look more ridiculous podcasting than you drop this thing off.
I like the look that your wife gives as she's walking through the hallway. And
She's
it's
like,
just
what is that
What
thing?
are you guys doing? Anyways, welcome to the show. My name is Dylan, a pilot in business aviation. I am, of course, joined by my colleague, Maxwell.
Also a pilot in the business of aviation and
Yes.
in the airlines as well. Long
Okay.
story.
We've got producer Joel keeping an eye on us. We are ready for an exciting show today.
Joel is involved in the world of paramotor aviation.
We'll hear about that in a little bit. Devoted.
Yeah, almost have taken off the ground. Almost.
He's really involved in paramotor dress rehearsal.
He gets it out and adjusts the carburetor.
Put it on, run around the yard, and put it.
Leaf blow.
Yeah, until he scares himself. Okay. Joel, put that away. Sorry, honey.
Once every fall.
That's right. Just blow
Good
off,
to be here,
clean the
guys.
leaves
Good to
off.
be here.
Oh, God. Well, this is going to be an interesting show today, Max. We just kind of got a bunch of stuff we got to discuss. Bose launched their new A30 headset, so we thought we'd have a good little headset discussion for everybody, talk about our opinions. We had a couple listeners write in that are using the A30, so we'll share that information. Max, you've got a good homework assignment for the listeners. We'll catch you up on a couple other stories. Lots in the mailbag, and then, of course, some flight advice to cover. So big show for you today.
This is
Thanks
like a spring cleaning episode.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
Is so appropriate.
Spring cleaning.
In fact, it being spring.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That,
This is perfect.
just-
And to go along with that theme, I've got the landscapers in the backyard. So,
as usual.
yeah, it sounds like a paramotor airport here.
Do you have them on our meeting requests of when we schedule a podcast?
Yeah,
it goes
exactly.
to
And
Landscaper
they
too?
just come. Yeah, exactly.
Please make sure you bring the leaf blower too.
Yeah, sirs.
Remove
Multiple.
the exhaust if you can.
Yeah. Well, Max, we started the episode by mentioning another runway excursion. This one was interesting. It was in Aspen, Falcon, and these things are still happening almost at a weekly basis. We talked about this in depth with Dan Bodegheimer from Advanced Aircrew Academy. We'll have a link to that module if you guys want to check it out. It is an excellent and well done. Unfortunately, there's still some people that have not seen that module, and we're seeing aircraft go off the runway. But this one was interesting because they tried to tug this. There's snow on the side of the runway. They tried to pull the Falcon 900 out of the snow and mud with a bulldozer, and they collapsed the nose gear. And the Falcon 900 just landed right on its nose, and somebody got it on YouTube. So there's a link in the show notes
Botched
for that.
recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should. Are we going to post a link to that?
Oh,
in the
for
show
sure.
Notes?
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, you got it.
Now, it was a Falcon 900B, which is an older model. Might have been
It was probably totaled already.
a little
already,
insurance.
so I don't
maybe,
think the recovery
Yeah, might be a
added to
strategic
the
move.
whole
Who knows?
damage.
Yeah. So
Yeah, right.
Who knows? Who knows? I think it kind of reminds me when you were flying the G3, and at one point we were like, "What? Is there an area of the country that the hurricane is going to be passing through?"
Yeah. There's a hailstorm. Do you want to go in the hangar?
No.
Well, we talked about that. Remember that? If somebody walked up to the cockpit, the owner is like, "Listen, I'll give you $1 million cash if you can total this airplane somehow."
Oh, the owner told the pilot that?
No. I'm just we talked about this. Did I not talk about hypothetically? We were like, what would you do? Like, if somehow he's like, listen, no one's gonna ask questions. There'll be a briefcase in the lab. $1 million cash if you can somehow figure out a total. Say it's like a whole value of he had it insured for $6 million. It's worth now $2 million or whatever. It's like, look, $1 million is yours. Just we got to total this thing.
Okay, hold on. Let me add insurance fraud to the outline here on
I know. Well,
show
of course.
notes. I forgot.
Hence the hypothetical question.
Yeah, right. What would you do? I guess I didn't. You're floating some theories out there that I hadn't really put a lot of thought into before. I'll be honest with you. What
do you think about it? Endless hours and cruise. You don't think about things like this?
No, this isn't.
Just.
Do you think about
what was your
felonies
plan
in your free time?
Yeah. Do you want to commit insurance fraud?
Well, after I'd figured out how to rob a bank, this was next.
This was next. So. Yeah, commit the perfect murder and then how to total a G3.
After Bill Bidwell and I talked about the burner phone and figuring out how to cheat with the Cardinals.
Oh boy,
it's a little local heat.
Local Scottsdale or Phoenix jokes, yeah. But I think it's a good question. So, what was the answer? I don't know. What would you have done?
I don't know. I think we talked about it. Like you could just do a simple, very non-creative, like gear up landing, or maybe you taxi into a light pole. On the ramp. It has to be feasible, like that it was an accident, right?
See, but you wouldn't want to do a gear up landing because that's like involves the effort. Like, it wouldn't be easier to like just torch a start on the motor.
Well, that's what. So you'd have to do this damage. So the best would be, I think, is if you were repositioning the aircraft on the airfield without the intent of flight. Because remember, an accident, you have to have the intent of flight, right? So maybe you like say, oh yeah, we're repositioning from this ramp to this ramp, and then you like, run it into the light pole. But the thing is that
do it with a tug. Right. No pilots involved.
Best. Yeah. Oh, that's it. So you take you tell the line guy, listen.
There's a briefcase with $5,000.
$5,000 if you. Now and then he goes to the new hire guy. Listen, $1,000.
Yeah.
You haven't been here long. You can find another job.
I'll break your. Then they call Joel and go, Joel, $500. Bring your paramotor out. Strap it on your back.
It's just cascading.
You guys are getting paid.
Yeah. Finally, it ends with a DoorDash delivery guy getting a $20 tip.
There's no better way to keep a secret than to bring 900 people in and pay everybody.
This will be great. All right. Well, that is an officially endorsed method. We'd like to go on the record.
Anybody
here.
uses
this is being recorded.
I need $1,000 in a briefcase in a shoebox.
Put it in the lab.
A listener donation via PayPal, $1,000, and just in the comments, just be like, you know what for.
I'm not saying, but we all know. All right. Okay. That was a great tangent.
Moving on. What else?
Perfect. I can't see.
Oh, let's talk about this runway overrun situation now.
Okay, yeah. You had mentioned what you guys do with the airlines, and I thought it was just worth reiterating because one of the things that we've always talked about with this show is we want people to be able to walk away with useless knowledge beyond committing insurance fraud that they can, implement into their operation. Maybe you can kind of share that again for folks that don't.
Well, and so yeah, one of the things that they've done at the airline is our performance is calculated based on stopping margin.
Yep.
So it doesn't tell you how long far you're gonna, how much runway it's going to require. It tells you what the margin is from the end of the runway base at the airport you're landing at, right? So if we have a 500-foot stopping margin, add that to the 1,500-foot planned touchdown point, right? And you say, okay, so I have a 500-foot margin. We add that to 1,500. That's 2,000. And then we say, okay, if we're going to touch down, if during this landing, if it becomes apparent I'm going to touch down later than 2,000 feet, then we will call for the go around and go try it again. and then you'll pick either a taxiway intersection, or you brief, if the touchdown zone markings, if it coincides at 2,000 feet, which touchdown zone marking, whatever it is. And then at least if you're the non-flying pilot, the other pilot gets into a floating situation, and all of a sudden, you start to get kind of nervous and sit up in your chair like we've all done before. At least here, you've already briefed it. You have a point. Be like, okay, it's already decided when we're going around. It's not subjective at that point. And we figured it out, and we call for the go, and you go around and try again. And it's no big deal. It's no big deal going around. That's the thing, is that everyone, this go around is such a big deal. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And then so you can adapt that though to business aviation if you know what you're stopping, or you calculate your performance and relate that to the runway or whatever, and just pick a point. And I think however you do it, it's just, I think, a really good deal because all of these that you see on these reenactments and stuff, it's people that were high and fast and they end up floating down the runway, which is not what they intended to do, obviously.
Yeah, right.
So, but not everybody touches down exactly at 1,500 feet every landing, right? Nobody does.
100%. Yeah.
And so having a point of the go around point makes really good sense to me.
I like it because, of course, we're always trying to land at the aiming point, and that doesn't always work for whatever reason. And so I think instead of focusing on the aiming point, and then once that's behind you, then what?
Yeah. Then what's the right? Exactly. That's the point, right?
But that was a mind shift for me, because for a long time I was like, well, we're just going to land in the touchdown zone, period. But that's, you never know. You might get that little weird turbulence or float or whatever. And
in some runways on a 10,000 foot long runway,
that doesn't make sense.
It's not as big of a deal. And but we also say it's either the 1,500 past that, the first 3,000 feet of the runway, or the first third of the runway, whatever's most restricted.
Right.
So it depends on, but you can make up whatever set of requirements you want. But I think just briefing a touchdown point that we're going to be on the ground by or go around, that's just good practice, period, however you want to adapt it. The other thing too that was interesting, and I mentioned this, did I mention this on the last show when we circled to runway 27 in Telluride, even though the tailwind component was less than 10 knots, because we did the performance and we were exceeding our brake energy.
Right.
And that's not in the FMC, right? That's all, you have to pull out the iPad, go into the real deal performance that my diligent co-pilot Christian had done that day. And actually he was flying, so I was the co-pilot, but we calculated it.
But you still made him
on
do
the tablet.
Let's be clear.
No. Oh, yeah, I think he did. I don't know. One of us. It was a crew concept, Dylan. And,
right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So yeah,
Trap
either way
errors.
though, it's I know we don't normally calculate brake energy on every flight in business aviation. I don't think most people probably do, but that day it was 9,000 foot long runway, high true airspeed. We know we're fairly heavy. It seemed prudent at the time, and turned out to be that was different. So that could be another reason too. It's calculate the performance, all of the performance you need, not just your landing distance.
Sure. This is an easy takeaway for anyone listening, especially for Part 91 business operator, and you don't have those procedures in effect. Next time you're getting ready to go, just have that conversation.
Yeah, tighten it up a little bit.
Tighten it up. Like it.
You don't want to be an AIN.
No, you don't want to be discussed here on the opening segment.
Yeah,
of
you
the
don't
show.
want to be discussed by a couple of idiots on this show.
Yeah, not watching the nose gear collapse on the YouTube. We'll have a link for that. We'll also more importantly have a link to the module that Advanced Aircrew Academy has created on runway excursions. Highly recommend it. And they do a great job. Also, Dan talks about, there's 100, I think they figured out there was 100 factors that come into an overrun. And he goes, there's no way you can monitor all that. He goes, here's 2 or 3. In golf, we call it a swing thought. Where it's okay, really want to press my hands forward. I'm working on, moving my hip or whatever it is. You can only do a couple. You can really only have a couple in mind at any time when you're making a golf swing. And I think it's the same for landing. There's no way you can be, thinking about 100 different things. But Dan had a few key takeaways, so really recommend listening to that interview and also checking out their module, aircrewacademy.com, for all of their great content they provide for folks in business aviation. All right, moving on, Max. We've covered in great detail my children's interest in airplanes, especially my older son. I took him to their first air show a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if we talked about that on the show. Down in Tucson. That was awesome. Got to see, well, the Thunderbirds were the highlight, and then got to see
I thought it was the F-35 slow flight demonstration.
That was my main point. Watching the F-35 demo was unbelievable. So cool. Seeing them do some really advanced maneuvers, and I mean, they were able to do like a 180-degree turn in like 1,500 feet of distance. Just insane.
That's unbelievable.
And that I think other airplanes can do it, but that Cobra maneuver is really cool. But that's
yeah,
like
the
just
Russians pioneered that one.
Yeah,
it's Su-27, I think. But
the most impressive of all was watching them fly in slow flight at less than 100 knots. It's crazy. So
how do you think about the range, the speed range?
I know. Well, that's what they did. They went slow flight, and then the pilot, she went into afterburner and went right from slow flight almost into a vertical climb.
Like with the flaps down and everything, and then they just like retracted.
Yeah, just like clean up. You know, it's just a regular go around. I mean, we all do it. Standard,
full afterburner go around.
Just full, I mean, they learned that in private pilot. Yeah, really impressive. I know the air show season's just heating up for the summer, so if you get a chance to go see that.
So Joel, based on that, still the PC-12 for the one airplane you want to fly?
It's close. It's close.
I mean, it may be able to fly slower than the F-35.
Yeah, that's true. That's a great point.
That's still
the
the dream. Is the PC-12, right? Just to confirm.
I mean, the F-35 would be pretty darn cool.
Yeah,
that would be cool. I guess I'll accept it if somebody's got an F-35. I just got to say, I think the Pilatus is a little bit more doable.
Doable, yeah.
Again,
it's an easier transition from the
question
paramotor.
Wasn't based on the likelihood of it coming true. We airplanes. We weren't even bound by history.
That's right.
Listen,
take your kids to an air show. That's my advice this summer. It was a lot of fun. They were in awe. It was cool to take a kid to see something like that for the very first time, you know. And we were like in the perfect position, so like every time the airplanes would do those passes, you know, and then roll, it looked like they were going to have a head on and stuff, you know. So
it's going to be awesome because as soon, like in a year, when he moves on from airplanes and he decides now he's really interested in concert, like playing the violin, you have to take him to all the symphonies and stuff. He's like, Dad, you took me to the air show, and the
where are you now?
Space Museum, like
building
can we go to the
RC
musical
airplane?
instrument museum here in Phoenix, and then I'd like to go see the symphony. And
where are you?
You'd be like,
what happened to you?
Having airplanes.
It's okay. Changes. Yeah. So, all right. We got to talk headsets here. The Bose A30 came out last week, and there was a little bit of internal discussion here at 21.5 podcast headquarters about what we should do. I thought we should buy one to review it, right? And then you kind of said no. So walk us through the reason. Tell the listeners why we did not review the A30 really quick, Max.
All right. This is my take on this.
Okay.
Because of the professional pilots that are out there, most of them fly jets, right? And I think the A20 and also the A30 are way overkill for flying a jet. I think it's ridiculous when people and that being said, most of the people I fly with at the airline wearing A20s.
Okay.
Wearing the cranium clamp for, 7-8 hours a day. I do not get it. Like the 737 is not the quietest jet out there, but an A20 is still ridiculous. So I wear Clarity Aloft, which for those of you who don't know, it's very lightweight. It doesn't go over your head. It kind of clips around by your ears and they're like little earplugs, right?
It's an in-ear headset. Yeah.
It's an in-ear. And I think that works great. I love it. But I forgot it one time in the business jet I was flying or something, and I had to go to work. So I grabbed A20s, which I do wear in my personal airplane, which has a 9-cylinder radial engine with exhaust stacks right below the cockpit. Like it is loud, and the A20 is very appropriate in that scenario, in my opinion. But I had grabbed my A20s and I went to work, and it was like weird, dude. Like it you couldn't hear enough. Which is in a jet. Like I've gotten very used to hearing how it sounds wearing the Clarity Aloft 99.9% of the time. Putting that on was weird, and I really didn't like it. But irregardless of that, I think that the comfort, like on a very lightweight headset, is much better. But that being said, also one of our friends is like, that's great, but I just can't stand things in my ears that long. And which is valid, because the Bose ProFlight,
yes, that's
is
what I
an
use.
in-ear type deal. But also, I think they went totally wrong on that, because it goes over your head. Like, I just don't want, those of us that have hair don't usually like something sitting on their head. No offense, don't. And it just seems like the A20 and therefore the A30 is overkill, unless you fly a turboprop, maybe one day, Joel, and a or a piston, or you're a flight instructor and a piston, and something that's loud. Like,
okay,
that's it. Rant
so
over.
Joel, I can't understand why Bose has not sponsored our show yet. Have you figured it? I mean, come on. Wait.
Working on it.
No.
Working
Okay.
on it.
I think that's an
Notice
interesting
that even
discussion.
Even in this recording, he doesn't have the overhead things.
I know.
Can't even stand it for that long.
Eat the clams.
This might
yeah.
be a bias.
No, I don't mind it. Like I said, I wear them all the time in my plane, and again, where it is appropriate and that level of noise reduction is needed. But
Okay.
and I have them for each one of my kids. It was awesome. Did I tell you how I procured all these A20s?
No.
Like I didn't go to Bose.
Insurance fraud?
Them. No, right during COVID, when they offered these early retirement programs, knowing that all of these people at the airline I fly for have A20s, I put a post on the union web board. I'm like, hey, all of you guys taking VSP, I'll buy your Bose A20s off you. So I bought all of those A20. I bought 5 A20s. for,
Okay.
like, less than $500 each.
Jeez. Oh, I bet.
Depending if they had Bluetooth or no Bluetooth or whatever. But yeah, it was awesome.
Well,
Do I hear a listener giveaway coming up? Huh?
You can't hear it because of the
I
noise
use
canceling.
all of them. I use them all.
Well, here's the thing that I was going to actually mention is how many A20s are going on eBay right now because of people upgrading.
Well, I don't know, because the review
okay, yeah, I'm going to read a
they
review.
become more valuable.
Okay, here's an A20. Buy it now, $795 on eBay. I'm seeing one at $800. There's still the like $800 to $1,000. It looks like most of the buy it now is for an A20.
And I can't imagine. Yeah, we'd be paying. And you would think with the new model, those things should be $500, but
right,
they're holding their value.
Yeah. So continue to stall as I pull up the Instagram message here from our listener who gave me the
and the other
review.
good thing, when I bought my A20s too, I bought off eBay like 10 sets of new ear cups and mic muffs, because obviously they want to give my kids, some mic muff that someone's been hacking their lung into for the last 5 years. So we just sanitized them all. This was during COVID too, so it was like, oh, get out the Clorox wipes again, and and then I like overhauled them all.
Yeah,
and they all work great. And if something actually, I do have one that's like crackling, and the wiring is just like worn, like my most clapped out one, and so you can just actually do this. As a matter of fact, right here,
boom,
ready to be sent back to Bose for very reasonable repair.
There you go. Okay,
you have great customer service.
Yeah. Okay. We did have a listener respond. He said, if you have the A20s, stick with those. If you want a new ANC or an upgrade, the 30s would be okay. The three different ANC modes aren't great in a piston. Low and medium are just honestly loud, and high sounds about what the normal A20 ANC sounds like. The spring feels almost tighter than the new A20s and definitely felt good to take off after a 2.4-hour flight. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. Really surprised they called the 30 an upgrade, let alone a new model.
Well, but they have kind of addressed my previous rant of too much noise reduction, right? Like in a jet, like it's kind of neat that you can scale it maybe and go down,
right? Where
then you could hear an engine roll back if you perhaps weren't staring at the engine instruments at the time. Like I don't think you'd hear that in an A20. I don't know.
Yeah,
I only wore it that one script, but.
So okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. I wear the ProFlight 2s. Okay, so for anyone that's not familiar, that's basically Bose's in-ear headset offering. The top looks like it's got the band that goes over your head, and then instead of the traditional ear cup, it's got the like ear inserts that you put in. I like it a lot. And to your point, Max, I don't use noise canceling in it. I never even turn it on. Because the Challenger's not that loud either. So you don't need it. Here's what I really like about it. You can pull one ear out. And
though, even on that thing, can't you like double tap it and it like
you can double tap and go into this like
through
transparency mode. I just pull the ear out. It's easier. They have a little like place you can like clip it. But if you're in business aviation, certain operations, the passengers will come up and talk to you or whatever, and that's a very convenient and easy way to be able to hear them and still be
it's so
connected.
Great.
Yeah.
And then, but at the airlines too, during pushback, when you have the ground crew in on the intercom, you have the hot mic turned off, and I have that my left ear out because we're talking not over the intercom, between just the captain and I.
Yeah.
And you're commuting with the ground crew over the intercom. So until we're finished with pushback and they disconnect, that ear is out, and then
you put it in. Yeah.
Flow when I'm done is I pop that in before I do the.
That's the advantage to the in-ear is you can go single ear, which I think is great.
Yeah. And I think too, if people try the in-ear and they're like, it makes their ear canal sore, you do get used to it. Because even when I was just in business aviation and we would have like very long flights, like my ear canal would get sore because we normally didn't fly that long normally. And I would take it off because I'd always go in the back and, muck it up with the people and whatever. But then at the airlines, you had the inconsistently for a very long time. And my ear canals would actually got a little bit sore. I was like, oh man. And then, but it goes away. So,
right. And with the Pro flights, there's secondary market vendors on the market that will actually, you can go and get a custom ear plug.
Same with the
cord, same with the clarities
too. You go to like an audiologist and they take a mold of your ear
canal
and they make like a hard plastic deal that sticks in there.
So I use the Clarity and the Pro Flight, and I'll just give you my review of both. I really like the Clarity better with what you're saying, the band that goes around the back of the head instead of over the head. Except if you're leaning back and hitting the headrest, you may have to adjust it a little bit. Not the end of the world.
You'll hit it. Yeah.
You'll hit it. That can be annoying if you're like always on the headrest in the back. The other issue with the Clarity was it didn't work with the intercom system for the Challenger for whatever reason. It was like a known issue. They may have fixed that. But
so weird.
But it just like couldn't work. So I had to switch to the Pro Flight. I've been very happy with the Pro Flight. Also, my Clarity didn't have the Bluetooth. I think the newer versions do. So the Bluetooth is nice.
Yeah, but I think those are still non-TSO'd.
Yeah.
The Bluetooth one is. The regular one is. So.
Right. So, but I've been very happy with the Pro Flight too, and the only thing that I don't really like about it is the way that it looks on a bald guy with the headband. It's I don't even know if I want to post a selfie on our socials because it's like it's not like a perfectly arc. Like the headband is not like a perfect arc. It's more like almost like a straight up and then like a U. And so there's this weird gap between my skull and the band that just looks really
weird. I want
weird.
to see this. This sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's not incredible.
But that being said too, Christian, who I fly with, he tried. I think he tried my Clarity Loft because he was wearing the A20s and he ended up going with the Pro Flight as well. So
so I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of different options. This is just our thoughts on them. But
which are worth what you've paid for them.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you want to get the A30s, get the A30s.
And if you do, write in. Tell us why and how they work.
Yep.
In the cockpit of a jet.
And listen, I get it. If you like the David Clark's, great. If you like the light speeds, awesome.
Well, and that's the thing. David Clark makes like a kind of a lighter version, like a smaller ear cup. Those I think those would be good if you don't like the in-ear stuff. The QC You Fly Mike guy.
Yes, I've done those. I was gonna that was the last thing I was gonna talk about.
That's a great setup.
Yeah,
it's non-TSO'd, so technically, whatever your thoughts are on
that. I'll tell you, if I was a commuter or if I was a pilot for a fractional, I'd really be looking at that noise canceling headset mic option, the
Well-
UFly mic, or the I think there's another one. It's not the UFly mic anymore. It's called like the
But it
Oh, look.
adapts to the Bose Quiet Comfort
exactly.
headphones.
You basically.
But
throw
the
it
other
in.
thing too, though, is that like, if you use AirPod Pros now, like that's what I use.
That
when I
was my
commute or-
Do you
or
see? I
whatever,
have
in
those
the back of an airplane.
Mm-hmm.
I use those. But
Yeah,
I'm
and those are good enough for you.
obviously in your guy. Yeah, well, as long as they have the noise reduction, you have to have the Pros with the active noise canceling.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't hear anything. But yeah, dude, I use those. Even like walking around
Yep.
an airplane with the APU going and stuff, like that's my ear
That's your protection. Okay.
They
The
just work.
the competitor to the UFly mic is in-flight mic, which is, I think it's supposed to be in-flight mic, but it's N-flight mic. We're not sponsored by any headset manufacturer, so these are all just honest reviews from us and kind of honest thoughts here. So not trying to promote one over the other, but recognizing that Bose is kind of the big player in the field. I thought it was good to address the A30s. So
Yeah, for sure.
let us know, especially if you got the A30s. Maybe we're totally off base and you're wrong. I really
Set us
hope
straight.
I hope you're a captain at Max's airline and you have the A30s and then you fly a trip with them. And then
Well, I'm
you
sure they will.
Yeah.
Soon. I'll ask. I'm sure
Yeah.
somebody will. Captains.
and then
always
Max will be
look
like,
into-
this is overkill.
Well, it's actually funny. So the dude I flew with time before last, which very interesting guy. He flies at the Confederate Air Force.
Yeah.
So in his off time, he flies Warbirds, P-51s, B-17, all kinds of stuff. Man, it's insane. Which he will be on the show upcoming.
Perfect.
But he was the only captain I've ever flown with my whole time at this airline that had a Clarity Aloft as well.
Really?
Yeah.
You know,
I know there's others out there, like some other people that
they're out there.
have that headset have said on our like just group chat I'm on, but yeah, he was the first one.
Airline headset group chat. That's available for our premium subscribers who are going to be joining. Join our Telegram group.
It's actually a Facebook group we're gonna get going.
Yeah, right. It's perfect. All right. Well, yeah, love to continue the conversation there on the headsets. Those are our thoughts. Anything else? Oh, Max, we've got a special guest joining us. This is breaking. Joel, can we oh. There he is. Can you hear us?
Ted,
What's going on?
welcome to the program.
Ted, we
Oh,
just finished a segment on reviewing headsets. Where are you at with what do you use, and do you have any thoughts on headset usage?
I haven't bought a headset since I don't know, 2002. I have not worn a headset that I've owned since 2005. I swear the
What?
ship set.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me. This cannot
Yeah,
be true, dude.
This you?
I ain't buying no headset for that airline. Them.
No way. You are the one. What is it? Is it like a telex with the just?
I think it's a Telex 750.
You
In the
kidding me?
regional days, I wore the ship set David Clark.
You used to wear the David Clark ship sets?
Ah, this is incredible.
5 legs. Get a headache. That was great.
David Clamps.
There's nothing worse than flying with someone that has their own headset. What's that?
You don't care.
No,
My head
never.
just exploded.
And there's nothing worse than flying with a guy that has his own headset. Some loser with A&R noise canceling.
Wait a minute.
Wants to fly with the intercom on, and I get to hear him chomping and chewing his chips across the country. Just want to smack him in the face.
We just talked about A&R headsets for the last 20 minutes and how everyone has their own headset. And now this is a big red flag for you, huh?
Yeah, you wear the 750 and you wear the left ear not on. You just have one ear, and then you can chat.
So you
But
don't...
Do you wear in cruise? Do you turn that off and go to speakers generally?
Yeah.
Wow, this is
incredible
another
revelation I
theory
did
that
not
I
see
just really
coming.
hadn't put a lot of thought into. Would you? I mean,
Yeah,
is
I
that?
think I'm on the outside looking.
Yeah, you're in the
I'm
minority here.
definitely
for
dying.
Sure.
Yeah, you think? See, it's funny because
Yeah.
our company issues you a Telex 750, like for free.
Mhm.
That's your own. And
But no one wears it
And-
on the 7.3.
some
Don't
people
they
do.
wear
but
the. Most people have like that David Clark thing.
Well, no, at our most people have an A20, a Bose,
Oh,
which what we just discussed, in my opinion, is massive overkill. But everybody wears a headset the whole time. Like you don't really, and you probably could go to speakers. I don't know why, but the Max is significantly quieter in cruise. But it's just no one has. Most of these guys came from the 300 days, so everybody's wearing headsets the whole time. But everybody has their own headset, even if it's the 750s issued, because the ship set is the ear spike. You ever seen that? It's the one that clips over your ear, has the little clear plastic tube, and it sticks in your ear. It's only one ear, yeah. I've flown with one dude that flies with that, his own set. I'm like,
I've flown with a dude that didn't even wear the headset. He just had speaker the entire time and the hand mic. I love that guy.
what?
He also memorized every frequency between DC and Boston. That's all he flew for like 20 years. Never looked at a chart. Never. I don't even know if he even brought the iPad to work.
Just you mean like the iOS and everything, or like the?
No, radio? He just knew every frequency, everything. He was like yeah, we're good to go.
Good to go. Wow, just full speaker the whole time. I feel like my airline, you weren't allowed to use the speaker for taxi.
No, that's a 121 regulation. You have to have the headset on, I think, below 10 or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of regulations, though.
Well said, Ted.
Yeah.
Well said.
Good point. Well, we're going to fact check. Joel, fact check that, but I think that is true.
There are a lot of regulations.
So, okay, so you show up. You unpack. So, I mean, this is like blowing my mind because I feel like it used to take me 15 minutes to get set up, and you move the flight case and do the whole thing, and you get your jet charts out, and you play, and you do and then you unpack your headset, put the company thing away. You're basically just sit down, pull your iPad out, and then just raw dog the headset that's just in there right on in. Do you clean it?
It depends. It's usually a lot of times on the bus where I work, it's usually like it's about 50-50. It's usually already plugged in, ready to go for you. So all you got to do is like clean it. But sometimes, whoever the loser before you was that used like some A&R, he doesn't replace it. So you have to plug it in. But
wow. So you're set up in 1 minute.
Yeah.
And what about your food bag, Ted? Where do you put that?
It's in my little duffel bag.
Okay. You just bring some non-refrigerated items?
Yeah. Nothing worse than those people too, and their stupid coolers sitting in the middle between the two seats.
The full size.
Would you like some cheese dip?
Zip up.
Yeah, you want a turkey sandwich I brought 3 days ago?
Okay.
Dude, the guy I flew with the other day, he was telling me, he's like, yeah. He goes, when I had an FO I didn't like, I'd pull out and just eat hard-boiled eggs and cruise. And if I liked them, I'd eat them in my room.
Yeah.
Oh man, that must have smelled like death.
Oh, dude, he's like, yeah, there's nothing worse.
Oh, in fact, I'm gonna have one
my
right
last
now,
trip. The guy pulled out like a half loaf of bread, and he had all the condiments, and he had like the meat in a Tupperware, and he would make a little like sandwich station on his little tray table there.
And he doesn't use the aircraft logbook. Oh no, you guys have a little table.
You have the pop-out tray.
In the 737, our table is also known as the aluminum aircraft logbook. That everyone sets on their lap and eats off that. Like,
so he was
making a little assembly line.
You had a little tiny Quiznos in the cockpit, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Did you put it on? Did he put it on the dash to melt the cheese for a little while before he had it?
Oh God.
Wow! Put it right by the avionics fan. That way,
so he's tuning frequencies from memory.
You toast your sandwich.
Oh, we're
avionics.
Coming up for the handoff into Kansas City Center. Let me put that frequency in from memory here, and then the other hand, he's putting a little French's on there.
And he's spreading some deli mustard.
Ted, I appreciate the boar's head with the little pepper around on the perimeter.
Ted, you don't happen to have any pepperoncinis over there, do you? What I would pay for is to see the look on Ted's face as this is going down, just like shaking his head like,
with his Bose A20 on maximum A&R.
I don't know how people wear a headset for 5 hours across the country. It's crazy.
Ted, do you get the people that some of the captains did bring a Bluetooth speaker to play like during the turn.
What?
Just to set the mood. What do you think about that?
I hate those guys too.
Really? I kind of like it.
I hate it.
I almost never agree with their music selection, but I kind of get into like, I don't know. I roll with it.
I just prefer it to be quiet.
Has anyone ever told you that you're like kind of intolerant of basically everything?
Yeah.
I can't.
Could be a problem.
It really sets the tone. The energy he sets out there. Really.
I wonder if you're like Defo. Do you think captains talk about
people eat hard-boiled eggs on every leg with him.
I think I'd probably have like maybe a high 40s approval rating.
Yeah. Similar to whatever president is in office. It's about the same.
Yeah, it's about on par with any president.
Still getting elected. Paycheck's still showing up.
Yeah.
Right. I need to know more about
somewhere in the middle. Ted's right in the middle. Like I said, you don't want to be the best. You don't want to be the worst.
Exactly.
Shooting for that median.
Right.
So I didn't know about these Bluetooth speaker on the turn stuff.
Oh yeah. Some guys are like, some guys it comes out not as consistent, and some are 100% of the time.
Right.
Parking brake set, parking checklist run, Bluetooth speaker out, music selection the whole time till it's like Bluetooth speaker goes off. That's when you know to grab the checklist for the before start checklist.
Wow.
And it's kind of cool. Like because I jam otherwise with like an AirPod a lot of times or something.
So it's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Max, when you make
it's fun if you got a fun captain, and then we really have it crank in, and the passengers are looking up there, and you're kind of throwing a little fist pump in once in a while. Probably what Ted does too. It
sounds very similar.
Inviting the kids up in the cockpit. Ted, what do you do when kids want to come up to the cockpit? That's what I want to know.
The guy who has the 4 stripe, that's his job. That's why he gets paid.
Ted secretly hands them a pamphlet to accounting school.
That's when Ted gets up and says he's got to go.
Yeah, right.
Go for a walk.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to sit in my seat?
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah.
So, Max, when you make captain, will you be playing the Big Booty mix?
Probably.
That would be unbelievable.
With all these 25-year-old
they're going to love it.
that are coming in. Yeah, we're going to be having... I might even hang up like some sort of light ball, essentially, from the bulkhead. Who knows?
I love it. All right. Well, I think we've beat the headset topic to death. Max, before we get into the mailbag, I think, Ted, do you want to stick around for some of the mail and help some of the listeners out?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Before we do that,
Always
Max.
here to help.
So enthusiastic.
We have a little homework assignment. Max, can you give the listeners a little homework assignment here? Ted, you can tune out for this. We know you're not going to do it.
You know who Ted kind of reminds me of? Like, as far as like if we're doing the mailbag and we're kind of assembling the Diamond Dogs, is Ted not totally Roy Kent?
Oh, Roy Kent. Oh, the actual Diamond Dog.
He's like reluctant.
Yeah,
but
he's
can't
100%.
help but be a part of the Diamond Dog.
You've seen Ted Lasso, right, Ted?
No.
Oh, yeah. You need to go do that.
Everyone's told me I need to get on it though.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you're definitely
That's so
Roy Kent.
Roy of him. That's so Roy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No.
That is so Roy Kent.
Oi.
Boy.
Yeah, you're
All right.
perfect. Okay, homework time. Go ahead.
All right. So the captain I was just talking about that I flew with, that's part of the Confederate Air Force, yada, yada. He was telling me about this documentary about the Keybird. He goes, "Have you ever seen the Keybird documentary?" I'm like, "No." And essentially the documentary is about these a crew crash landed a B-29 out in the tundra of Greenland, like right after World War II or whatever, right? And they landed it in the snow, and it's still on its landing gear. The prop tips, I guess there's a bunch of snow, so the prop tips are all bent, and this thing's just sitting there on its landing gear, like and has been there for at the time when this was filmed, they were saying 50 years. And this dude decides that, this airplane's worth a lot of money now. It's probably economically feasible, and he's going to go out there and recover it. And there's no road, there's no way to disassemble it and truck it out. It's 250 miles from Thule Air Base, which is already in the middle of nowhere. So this is like way out in the middle of nowhere. And so he's going to recover it. And the only way they can determine to recover it is he's going to fix it up enough to fly it out of the tundra of Greenland. And I will leave it at that. But it's one of the wildest things I've ever seen. And Dylan and Joel have so far watched it. And I sent to like my dad. I'm like, you got to watch this.
Yeah.
But there will be spoilers to this out there. So do not Google the Keybird and read about it. Don't just
watch it.
The homework assignment for all the listeners is to go to our website. We're going to have the link and have it embedded there. It's just YouTube. It's like less than an hour long. Watch the documentary, and then we're going to talk about it next time. But it's insane. And
I can't believe we've never heard of this, especially you.
I know. Me neither. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was so funny too because I watched like part of it, and the captain's like, "Yeah, no, we're not talking about it till you watch the whole thing." And I never did finish it while we were on our trip. I finished it like after I got home. But when we have them on, I guess we'll maybe mention it. But
okay,
it's unbelievable. Keybird, Keee.
But don't Google it.
Space.
Just click
BIRD,
on.
but do not Google it. Yeah, just
click on their show notes.
215.
Yeah, click on the show notes.
215podcast.com and just watch the documentary.
Really good. Okay. All right. Joel, any reviews that we need to be aware of before we dive in?
Got a 5-star review. Entertaining and insightful. I was introduced to the 21.5 podcast by a friend who had listened to the Roger Reeves special, and I found the stories and conversation within that special really entertaining and interesting. I've caught up with most of the earlier episodes, and I'm finding the insight to civilian airlines useful, particularly the lifestyle differences, and of note, the being married to a pilot episode, as I look at options outside of UK military flying. I'll continue to share this podcast with colleagues and look forward to more episodes. R. Gibbs 28.
Thank you.
A little disappointed I wasn't invited for the spouse, married to airline pilot spouse episode.
Oh my gosh. Well, the problem is, Ted, we were looking for, you mean to have your spouse on or that?
I just would have commented on some of the complaining spouses.
Oh, you would have gone the other way. I think you actually made a couple already, and people.
Yeah,
I think people are pretty clear about your feelings.
Next time.
Yeah, I got in trouble for that.
Imagine that. Wow, I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
Next time we're gonna have your spouse on.
Yeah,
that would be the best because I guarantee you, people are dying to know who lives with you.
She's a saint.
Yeah,
she is a saint because you're such a ray of sunshine. Especially you pre-child. Yeah. That was the real. Those were the real tough years, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Here's just a general comment that came in over email, but pretty good. Unable to support my favorite podcast. When are you guys going to launch a Patreon? I want to support my favorite professional pilots that are supporting me. Unfortunately, my preferred method of support, Patreon, does not seem to be an option. Flexibility is the key to air power and yoga. John.
Did we plant that? Did we make that email up?
Yeah. I wrote that, guys.
You wrote that on the slide.
No, well, you can support. Isn't there like a donate button?
There is a donate button at the bottom of the website. It's just through PayPal. Pretty simple if you want to throw some donation. But it's a good point. We do need to get Patreon.
And it's not even free because we will send swag, right?
Yeah, I'll send you a sticker for sure.
But even for leaving a review,
make a donation if you
like.
I
guess that was email.
We'd love to. We should set up a Patreon. Well,
you know what we also include? Have merch that we're working on some new merch. Ted, one of the things that we are working on right now is a branded commuter vest. So that or deadheading. So for me, it would be like deadheading. Like I hate where you could just throw this vest on, drop the tie, throw the vest on, hide everything. You know, you could pre-board because you're in uniform, and then
can it be like a like black leather, like you're in a biking gang or something?
That would be
no. I'm thinking more lightweight, something that folded up real thin in your suitcase. You know, not very hot, not like a.
Have you seen the vest? The plug at a FedEx new hire has to wear.
No.
At FedEx, whoever is the youngest in the class has to wear a black leather vest, and on the back it says the caboose. Because you're the last person in the class, and you have to wear it every single day of indoc for 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
And you'll be walking down like the training facility, and like someone will see you walk by wearing the vest, and they'll just like pop out of a room and be like, "Hey, caboose!" And you just get shout outs all day long.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's pretty good. Because for those first 2 weeks, we
did something too. I can't remember what it was. We called them the baby in class, and I think they had to wear like a spit up thing or something like that. We
Oh,
did
yeah.
for you were the youngest one. Yeah, there was.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Hazing
It's
is one
always
of my
good to
favorite
do a little
parts of the
proper
year.
hazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly. So, we could do that. That's a good idea, Ted. If we did the leather vest and then we had like an artist do like, you know how the biker gangs have all that like weird art on their vest? Do one for like every city, every domicile that you commute from, you know? Cause,
No, we could refer to it as our cut.
yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be unbelievable. So you got like the
Sons
Phoenix.
of Anarchy. We could have our cut.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
You have a little gangs. The jump seaters, you're seeing like all the Phoenix guys over here, and then you know.
God, can you imagine like airbrushed graphics on the back? That would be so sick.
Be
Like the
unbelievable.
rising
Oh, man.
Phoenix bird for Phoenix. And
Be unbelievable.
A lot of wild hogs.
Yeah.
Wild hogs feelings going
Yeah.
on.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
That'd be unbelievable.
That'd be sweet.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that direction, Ted. I think that's better. So, listener John, we'll watch for that. That's the best way you can support the show is by wearing our colors. Nice little blue and red bandana.
Wearing the colors.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone that wrote in with a review. If you send us a review via email or post it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we're happy to send you a sticker. Just shoot us your name and your mailing address, and we'll get that in the mail to you. info@215podcast.com. On to the mailbag, which is sponsored by our friends at Advanced Aircrew Academy, aircrewacademy.com. See the show notes for valuable information for those modules we discussed earlier in the show.
Hold on, before we get into this, I just have
That
a
was so
question. Ted, have
smooth. Come on, that was I
know,
just
it was
rolled that
great.
off. That was unbelievable.
I know it's unbelievable.
Okay,
We'll
go ahead.
We'll be there in a second.
Okay.
Ted, what do you listen to our show ever?
Rarely.
Have
My
you
wife
listened to the
lets me
Roger
know.
Reeves one yet, by chance?
No.
I think you'd. What do you do on your commute?
Judge the other pilot.
just-
He's already told you.
I just read stuff on my phone.
You don't wear earbuds or anything?
No, I'll put like like my like ear things in so I don't have to hear any noise. Like from your walkarounds. Your earplugs.
Oh, like earplugs? Like you don't have like earbuds, like AirPods or anything like that? And you just
no,
you
just read my phone. That's about it.
you put earplugs in and you look at your phone
Yeah,
on your weekly commute.
yeah.
What about when you're waiting for your flight? Like your commute flight, like all that time you spend in the airport, like really?
I just hang out in the lounge in the quiet room in the chair and chill out and sleep.
Either I require immensely more entertainment
Yes.
than the average person,
Yes.
and Ted is normal, or Ted is,
I think you
requires far less
two are at the
stimulation.
you guys are both at the middle
or
ends
we're
of
at the
extreme.
opposite ends
Yeah.
of the spectrum.
Max, you need
All right.
constant entertainment, and Ted is fine, just kind of chilling. I think that's
That's why
that's
we
incredible.
even each other out.
yeah.
That's true. I couldn't even imagine.
I wish we could create a
All right.
reality show of you two being a corporate pilot crew for a month. Hey, Ted, did you get the ice? No.
No.
Hey, Ted, did you wipe anything down? No.
Ted, did you order those customized napkins I asked you to do?
The
Why would-
Caspari
that's-
linen.
That's stupid.
Oh, my God. All right, Joel, let's get to the mailbag here.
The good news is, Ted, I made reservations for us at this Michelin-rated restaurant at the over. So,
I ate at the gas
That
station
worked.
already.
isn't there an Applebee's?
All right. I enjoyed your episode 96 show and discussion on pilot incapacitation and landing taxiing from the right seat of a Boeing 737. I wanted to pass along my own experience taxiing a 737 from the right seat. Years ago, during the morning eastbound departure rush out of Phoenix Sky Harbor, we were number 4 in line on the parallel taxiway pointed west when the captain asked, "Do you think you can make the left turns onto the runway and depart?" Ever confident, I answer, "Sure I can." Immediately, the captain fully reclines his seat, closes his eyes, and states, "Your plane." With lots of differential braking and differential thrust around the corner, we departed. The next time Captain Sleepy opens his eyes was on a 3-mile final into Baltimore. Calmly, without even looking out the window for orientation, he looks over to me and states, "So, kid, do you have my JEP revisions done?" I miss the stories from the old salty aviators, but I don't miss the JEP revisions or single pilot flying. Keep up the great work. Fly safe, Steve.
I
know
like
what
that he
airline
ends
that
the
was.
story with "fly safe." Just like me, fly safe.
That's awesome. Could you imagine?
Oh my God, that's
man,
pretty impressive.
I don't even know what to say.
I haven't gone that far. I don't know that I
wasn't that you, Max, though, that had the captain who was like asleep, and then like someone asked on radio, "What's the score of the Dallas game?" And he woke up for the first time for an hour. He's like, "It's 14-7." He replied on
that wasn't
EPC.
me. But
I remember that story.
no, that wasn't me. That's awesome though.
Yeah, and you're like, how did you know that?
He was listening to it on ADF or something like that.
That's awesome.
That sounds good. That's a good story, Steve. Thank you.
This might be a bit more on the flight advice side. I just started listening to your podcast. As a previous professional pilot looking at re-entering the workforce, I really enjoy them. I have a question. I just turned 37, haven't flown in the last 12 years. ATP, 1900 total time, 1500 turbine, 1000 PIC turbine, all 135. My ultimate goal is employment with a major. I'm wondering if you have any advice as the best route to get back on the horse.
All you have to do is apply. With those times, you're in.
I mean,
you meet or exceed all of the minimum requirements. So,
does he have any recency like experience though, or is he?
No,
that's
what
been
he hasn't.
Years?
No, he has. I'm kidding. Yeah, I mean, his times are good, but yeah, he hasn't flown in 12 years, so he's going to need to knock the dust off.
I would call a local flight instructor and go do some flights with them. I would.
You know what? What about just throwing it in with a? I bet a regional would hire you with that.
Yeah, but the problem is you could get hired, but could you make it through training?
Yeah.
If you haven't thought about instrument procedures in 12 years, that's the worst thing that could happen to you is because someone will hire you, I guarantee it, but you're going to fail.
Well, the other thing too, mentally, you're going to be just like, even if you did,
you're going to be so overloaded
and show up to training.
No,
you're going to be freaked out. So you need to go fly and get some self-confidence. Because honestly, a lot of this stuff too, I have never taken that much time off, but I would be interested to see. I have a feeling it's like riding a bike, and it sort of is like with light airplanes and stuff. Like if you haven't flown a light airplane in a long time, and then, like a tailwheel airplane, for instance, I didn't fly tailwheel for a really long time, and then I got back in one, and you just kind of, it's like riding a bike. You just picked it right back up. And I think flying is like that to a certain extent, but you would definitely need to go at least prove that to yourself by flying before you sign up to the pass-fail environment, if you will.
Any advice, Ted?
I no.
Okay.
Go. You need to get some recency of experience.
Yeah.
But do it quickly because
this is a great environment.
Probably good to go.
But like what you're saying, Max, is almost like the stick and rudder skill. To that part,
no, I'm talking about going and fly some approaches.
Yeah,
like remember.
There's a mental aspect that, like, even if you go and run a 172 and do 10 touch and goes, and you're like, oh, good, I'm good, I'm back. I feel that's not what we're talking about here. That's a piece of it, but there is especially when you're flying in a big airplane, which it sounds like you've done before, you have to be ahead of the airplane when it's going, especially like on instrument procedures and that kind of stuff. So there's a mental refresher. You can't be thinking like briefing and approach and that kind of stuff. Like you need to know that stuff needs to be really fresh. You can't be thinking about how am I going to fly? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would figure out a way.
Yeah.
To get refreshed.
And
then
honestly,
I mean, if you listen to our last episode with James, he might be a really good candidate too, if not for. Or to go back to 135 that he knows because he was 1500 turbine, 1000 turbine PIC 135, and it's something 12 years he wouldn't even be able to go back to just recurrent for anything that he was on. Has to be initial, but you could even just go back to what fly there for a little bit and get some recent experience being a professional again, and then I think you would be in good shape to apply to the majors.
If you haven't checked out the latest version of Microsoft Flight Simulator, like. That's pretty legit.
Yeah, that's
go spend $100 on
first step,
and go check that out too. So
go fly because at the end of the day, you're going to be paying for yourself to get reacquainted with aviation. So you may as well start there and buy the software and buy the yoke and throttles and stuff, and go fly some approaches in a King Air or whatever you.
The hard part is not going to be getting hired. The hard part is waiting to get hired until you're ready to actually pass, especially if you're going 121, the training program.
Yeah,
that's the hard part there.
But people too, I think with those times, but not flying in 12 years, like I'm not sure how big of an obstacle. That would be a good question for James, but that would be. But I'm sure you're not the only one. Given the state of the industry that's coming back.
Well, yeah. Let's read our next email and we'll learn more about that. Go ahead, Joel.
All right.
Hey guys, I just discovered your podcast and love it. I'm a career A&P that's wanting to transition over to being a professional pilot. I'm currently working on commercial, but I am not in a huge hurry as I have my kiddos starting to transition to grown-up life. I bought a PA-28 140 a while back, and I'm loving this part of the journey. With that said, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts about how people like me can make the transition work for them while they are raising kids, paying a mortgage, and feeding a retirement. A lot of folks talk about how we all need to punch out, go to a pilot mill, instruct, and get to the airlines as quickly as possible. While I understand that this is the normal path and there is a certain amount of dues to pay in any new adventure, it can be difficult to make the math work on spending the money required to get the ratings, pay the bills, and not starve. Thanks for all you guys are doing. This is by far my favorite aviation podcast.
Boom. Inside the top 40 once again.
I don't see how else you're going to do it to get if you're starting from zero. I mean, you got no other choice than to just find some type of local job. But he's working on his commercial, so
yeah, and he's got his own airplane. So he's probably doing that. Ultimately, you'll have to do finish it all in your plane and then do the add-ons, right, for multi and stuff.
Yeah, going to be looking for some type of job though. Doing something.
I love this situation for him. He owns the plane and he's an A&P. So that means the cost of the ownership of the airplane is going to be pretty low, right? So you can fly the plane now and build your experience. Really, to me, this comes down to you're going to have to eat a sandwich at some point when you get into this career. The question is, when do you want to do that? Because if you've got kids, I don't know how exactly old they are, but when you become a professional pilot, you're working weekends and holidays, and you're going to miss a ton of stuff. All the time your kids are out of school, you're going to be working. So really the question is, when do you want to do that?
Even at the top level, even if you get hired at United, American, Delta.
Even if you straight cut it right to the majors.
Anybody.
So when do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Your window of opportunity to spend time with your kids while they're young is not very big in the grand scheme of things. I know the conventional wisdom is get on the seniority list as soon as possible, but
then you're locked.
You're locked. I would be very careful and really contemplate if you're making if you're covering the bills with your A&P job now, man, I'd wait. That's my advice.
Well, yeah, it depends. He hasn't said how old he is or anything like that, or she, I guess. But yeah, it's hard to know. But yeah, you just realize you are going to have to jump on the grenade at some point. And you can the good news about that is you can control the timing of that. What you cannot control is the timing of the industry of when things are good and when things are bad. But like he said, the good news is you don't probably have to flight instruct. Just fly your airplane.
Yes.
So just continue to fly and build time as much as you can outside of your job. And then at that point, though, there's going to be the jump you have to take to fly jet. And whether that's at who knows where that's going to be to, whether that's a regional, an ultra low cost carrier, or, the way things are going, like 2 years prize, an ATP get hired anywhere you want. So
with an A&P and the shortage of A&P techs, if you're good and what, like I don't know anything about being an A&P, but I imagine there's, specialties you can go into and command a decent salary. From a career earnings standpoint, at some point, it's not even going to pencil out, probably, right? It's some age.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Have enough information to answer that question because I really don't know.
Yeah.
What an A&P makes.
And when they talk
versus
about
a pilot, even at at an airline.
I guess when you're
just
making
don't know.
6 figures right off the bat at a regional, then it's pretty tough.
Yeah, that's the thing. That math though is changing, by the day, literally, because we don't know what supposedly Americans close. Everything's still changing.
Ted, what would you like? What's your advice? Not from the like nuts and bolts of how you do it, but just from the bigger picture of like, would it be more fun in your opinion, or like more rewarding to be an A&P and have your own airplane and fly and maybe have more control over your schedule, or be the professional pilot? Like, I don't even know.
I don't know if we got enough information from him.
Yeah.
Like what he wants to be home as much as possible, but I mean, if you get any airline you're going to, you're not going to be home anymore. So I would wait until the kids are old enough or older that you can be.
He says that they're starting to transition to grown-up life, so he's like probably almost through the younger years.
Oh yeah,
and so he's probably close, and that's probably why I wrote this email. It's like, okay, they're almost like teenagers or whatever.
Yeah, if that's the case, then okay, that makes a lot more sense. I'm thinking, if they're like 10,
yeah,
yeah,
that's the thing.
So you gotta wait.
Yeah. Okay. Great email. Good luck.
Highly recommend commuting 5 hours across the country for your RJ job.
Yeah, with just rubber earplugs in.
Yeah, LaGuardia.
Crash pad, if you can do it.
But the best part is make sure you live somewhere where another major airline has a domicile. That's always the best, is when you can commute and watch everybody else who's driving to work. So, right, Ted? I mean,
yeah,
it's great.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, really.
Seniority's a trap.
You know how to bring a smile to Ted's face. All right, go ahead.
Here's Ted.
Oh.
Ted, I have an over. So Ted was always enjoyed sports gambling. So I have an over/under for you. Over/under years of seniority at your current airline, where you would have quit and gone to the airline that has a pilot base where you plan to live for the rest of your days.
I mean, how much? Oh, what like? What would
So
I have to get in return?
over this many years of seniority, you would have stayed and continue to commute forever, which you're doing now, or under, you would have quit and started over at the other airline where you could drive to work.
Hindsight 2020, I should have tried. Within 2-3 years, 4 years, I should have tried.
Well, which one? It's an over under. You have to pick the over. It's 4.5.
4.5 would have been fine.
So at 4 years of seniority, you would have quit and started over.
Yeah, looking back at it now, if I could have changed it.
The problem is, though, like when Ted got hired at a major, it wasn't like dudes were just getting hired at majors left and right either.
I know. That's what, You didn't know how fast.
There wasn't any majors hiring.
Yeah.
No one was hiring. It was like the first one to go.
Yeah.
But then you get wrapped up and you get lazy and you get comfortable and then you're like, ah, shit. 10 years later.
We might have to put that one on a shirt. You get wrapped up, you get lazy, you get comfortable, and then, shit.
Oh,
and
man.
you start remodeling a house and you just, where does it end?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. What's
Have a
next?
Kid,
having babies at 45.
Hey guys, for Tim Pope as he learns to fly an ADF, remember, rubber boots plus muddy holes equals muddy boots to the station. That's a formula for getting magnetic bearing. I think I got that right. It's been a while since I needed that information. Yeah.
What?
Anyway, story time. Adding to the
Hold on. Wait.
Okay.
Rubber boots and muddy holes. The three of us have all been flight instructors at the Harvard of the skies. I've never heard rubber boots plus muddy holes.
It was always DHI, TDI, desired head intercept.
Yeah.
Tail desired intercept.
Yeah.
Right?
Heads fall and
Ted?
tails rise.
Man, I totally lost all that stuff.
Really? You already dumped that?
That's dumped.
Dumped
Okay.
it.
I don't know. Maybe research that one a little bit. I've never heard of this.
God, I can't wait
boots
until
to the
Ted
station.
comes back out here. And we got to take Ted for a flight. We'll rig up all the camera gear and the moose.
Oh,
Just
man.
go land on dirt
No, he'll
strips. He'll
hate
love it. Just
Okay,
be right up his
okay.
alley. It'll be like when we took Ted paintballing. Remember?
Oh God. So much activity.
I've seen the misery on someone's face.
So okay, I got it. Rubber boots must stand for relative bearing. Muddy holes stands for magnetic heading.
Equals mud. Yeah, that's.
And then muddy boots is magnetic bearing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? Once I get to 6,000 hours, I'll know that. Okay, sorry, Joel. Keep going.
Story time. Adding to the spouse discussion, for the listener who is switching from 135 to 121, the pay looks very different. It's pretty critical to get your spouse involved so that she understands how it all works. My airline has a lot of schedule flexibility, but it requires knowledge of how the system works. It's heavily reliant on the open time process as well. As a junior pilot, I put my weekend reserve assignments in a giveaway, but surprise, surprise, nobody ever took them. Until one day, a few months in, a reserve block disappeared from my schedule. I told my wife I'd finally get the weekend off, but all she saw was my pay for the month drop significantly. On first year pay, this was a big deal. She kind of freaked out. I failed to tell her that by giving that away, I had more freedom to pick up premium during the week. It didn't fully register until she saw that my paycheck was the highest it had been since starting. Lesson learned, it's best to get your spouse on board with all the little airline pilot intricacies, work, and pay rules before playing the game. I've done government flying, flight instructions, as well as Part 91 and 135 flying in the past. I can say for sure that 121 flying has given me more tools for pay and schedule changes to support my home life than any job I've had in aviation so far. Thank you guys for a great show. Mike.
Yeah, that's a good advice. Depends on, well, I think throughout our friend group, we've seen different levels of wife integration into your schedule. Like my wife has the scheduling, like my password to get in and pick up trips. And like she does probably most of it when I trading of my trips and stuff, because she's around and not flying a lot of times when she gets the text alerts. It's a whole thing. So my wife is very integrated in my scheduling at the airline.
Yeah, the more they know, the better. That way you can't really be held like at fault. I'm actually more concerned that Mike is flying premium during contract negotiations, though.
Ooh, this is a whole different.
Yeah, that's a whole other can.
Yeah, that's a whole.
That's a whole other podcast, though.
Okay, but Ted, like for your level, you guys are PBS, I think, right? So you kind of, you and her. I mean, it's kind of pretty much. I mean, it's every pilot was basically.
She doesn't do any like bidding. I just, what days do you want me to be off?
Basically. You just say that at the beginning. You do that. It's typically with kids. It's almost always the weekends you're trained for or whatever.
Yeah.
Not with little teeny kids like.
Well,
kids.
yeah, I guess it depends.
Every day is a weekend for them.
Oh.
No, I just try to make doctor's appointments. Yeah, with all the stuff during the week.
Right. Well, that's when PBS is nice because you can kind of mix that stuff up a little bit. And we need this weekend, but then we need this day in the middle off. And then does she do any of the open time? Or you don't probably try. I'm getting the feeling you're not a big trade guy.
It's I probably maybe like 5 trades a year.
Oh my God, you're pretty senior though, right?
Yeah, I guess you don't need
on
to.
Your current equipment, aren't you? Like you're like, so he just gets what he wants,
right?
Which I am.
Hey, Mike, I got a little clue for you too. The reason that people were taking your weekend reserve on giveaway was because there was not a lot of open trips and people didn't want to work, and so you weren't going to get called. That's why people are taking that. So
yeah, a lot of times.
Yeah, so you may want to hold on to those because then you don't have to work on the weekend and you still get paid. Just a little pro tip. So, anyways, and then we have a friend on the other end of the spectrum. I don't, Max, you were there. I don't even remember.
I think Ted was there too.
Ted was there too.
Ted was in town.
We have another friend that works for the same airline as Max, and your wife, Max, was explaining how she does all the swaps and pickups and everything at dinner. And then our other buddy's wife, like, her face went white. She's like, "What? You can log in and see his schedule? Like, you can see."
He's like, "Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah." She was pissed. I don't know what he was telling her.
Yeah, I don't know. She was like, "What? You can?" Yeah, it was this whole thing was like this massive revelation that had happened. And we were at the bar too. You know, everyone had a couple cocktails, so it was.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, Ted? Were you there for that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But if there was cocktails, you never know.
Yeah. So I guess it just kind of depends on what you're going to communicate with your spouse. But I think the open and honest is the best. Get them in on the program. I think that's great.
And well, he's like, and this guy, he's trying to work. Like some people don't work it, like Ted. He flies what he gets. He bids for it. It's all great. But if you're gonna work the computer system and try and play that game, pick up premium and drop stuff or trip trade or whatever, then it is definitely helpful to have your wife on board and trained up to help with that stuff.
Or spouse. Could be husband.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Let's wrap up. Let's wrap up the mailbag here, Joel.
Hey, Dylan and Max, here's another resource through NGPA that may be worth mentioning in response to the person who wrote in about their friend who got a DUI and ended up ending their life. It's a link to ngpa.org. Any pilot can use this resource, and they specify that they provide services that are FAA medical friendly. From the limited details from today's episode, it seems like the initial free 1-hour consultation they offer could have possibly saved this pilot's life. Thanks for another good episode, Clay.
Thank you, Clay. Appreciate you sharing those resources.
1 free hour consultation with a mental health professional.
That's great. That's awesome.
Via our partner. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, I was not aware of that. Thank you for sending that in.
Take advantage of it.
Yeah, 100%. Our premium listeners, we can also, the Patreon subscribers, will give them Ted's phone number too. If you want to call Ted, he can also give you a little mental health coaching. It's going to be very direct. Advice, I have a feeling. There's going to be a lot of sugarcoating.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's going to do it for the mailbag. Thanks to all our listeners who write in info@215podcast.com. Love to hear from you folks. And hopefully we're helping people. We're appreciate all of the resources that come in. I don't know. Do you think this was helpful today? Maybe. It was funny.
It's tidbits.
Yeah,
there's little nuggets in there. You got to extract. You know, you got to work. You got to kind of dig through the weeds a little bit.
Yeah. But separate the wheat from the chaff.
There.
All right.
Yes, you will.
Let's shift gears. We'll talk for this one a little flight advice coming up. Of course, flight advice is brought to you by our friends at Harvey Watt. They are the largest provider of loss of medical insurance and pilot life insurance for professional pilots around the globe. HarveyWatt.com to see all of their offerings. They have a little calculator. You can go on there. You don't need to sign in. You don't need to give them your email. You don't need to give them any information. They just have a website where you can go and click and say, I'm age 44. This is the coverage I want. This is how much. And it will spit out a number so you can get an idea of what it'll cost. And you can bring that to your employer, especially if you're in business aviation. Get that added to your next compensation.
Yeah,
contract.
you know what's funny about that this morning? So my wife is in employee benefits. She sells employee benefits.
Yeah.
And one of the products, because of our relationship with Harvey Watt, is she can sell loss of license. And so she's actually quoting it for a whole management company, because I think it's a great way to attract and retain pilots in that business is to offer loss of license, because that's one of the big things that people think about when they think of why one of the reasons they want to go to the airline is for that benefit. So it's a big one.
Yeah, 100%. There is, Ted, you'll be glad to know there are no check boxes on that questionnaire for like how many nights did you spend playing Texas Hold'em poker at Bucky's Casino, how many horse races have you bet on, anything like that. Just nothing like that on the questionnaire, so you should be good.
How many children do you have at the age of 45? None of that stuff. That's great.
Okay, so we've got a lot of different options here.
We're gonna play this. We're gonna do this roulette style. Okay, Ted. You're gonna pick this based on the title. Okay. Here are the options: waiting for contract, leave job and go to ATP ? FOMO ! Money or commuting ?
Money or commuting?
Yes, I was hoping you were going to say
Perfect. All right.
Go ahead, Joel. From the top.
I want to start with saying you guys have an awesome podcast. I've learned a ton, and it kept me motivated bouncing the pattern as a CFI. Now I found myself in a position seeking your advice. I respect and value your guys' opinion, so don't hold back. The position I have found myself in is I am currently finishing my training for a regional airline. I live in Casper, Wyoming, which unfortunately does not have any future involving the airlines without commuting. I love it here, and my family is here, and they own a small business I enjoy helping with. For countless reasons, I have no desire to relocate. I was hoping for a Denver base, which is an easy commute. However, in recent months at the regionals, it has gone very senior. Out of curiosity, I looked at fractionals, and shockingly, my hometown was listed as an approved base. I immediately submitted an application and heard back in less than a day for an interview. Now I'm in this difficult position to choose from. I'm young, 24, so at the current rate of progression, my overall airline earnings could be astronomical. However, it will forever make me choose between moving to the big city or commute. The fractionals offer flexibility and zero commuting through my entire career at the expense of pay. So to sum up this scenario, money or commuting? I'm at a loss. If I quit the airlines with little 121 experience, do you ever hear of anyone going fractionals to major legacy carriers? Or would I be forced to take the abuse from the regionals if I decided later in life I wanted to make the swap? Thanks for the help.
People go fractionals to majors all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, yeah.
Set
that aside. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Yeah, that just for one, that for sure happens.
They'll make more money at the majors than at a fractional, right?
Yeah, which he realizes. Now, there's a couple of things to consider about that too. If you're going to live in base at a major airline, given especially too with what's happened with real estate over the last couple of years, something to consider is the fact that I'm sure the cost of living in Casper, Wyoming, you could buy a 50-acre ranch in Casper, Wyoming for probably what you can a 2-bedroom apartment in Chicago or wherever whatever, or Denver or whatever. The prices in Denver, if that's what he was considering as moving to, we'll just say, he was just talking about commuting here, but just for discussion's sake, it would be a lot more expensive. So that certainly affects the bottom line and the difference that you could live in Casper and essentially at a fractional, you are commuting. You just don't have to worry about it.
You're commuting every time, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's spaced out of there.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. But yeah, I would, if you're considering it at all, I would definitely really consider going to a fractional. And at least you wouldn't have to commute during that time. Quality of life's good. And no offense, Ted, but I've always said the flight instructor to regional to airline, big boy airline job is kind of a boring path. Like at least fractional, you get to do something different in aviation, fly different types of airplanes, different type of flying, and then hang it up and get the long-term gig.
Well, that's just the classic live to fly or fly to live argument. But
yeah, absolutely.
It depends on this guy what he's trying to do. But I would say for him though, I think fractional will probably sounds better personally. I mean, how many flights are there?
Ted, as a former, it can't be a ton of service. Plus, as a former commuting regional pilot and current commuting major pilot,
I never commuted at the regionals. That sounds awful, but I did. I have been commuting for 10 straight years, with another 20 to go. So, I will tell you, avoid commuting.
Okay. So here's a little bit of extra information because I'm mulling this over in my head. I agree with you guys. Like, go to the fractionals now because go to the fractional, try it. You might love it. And then problem solved.
Yeah, you can always
you do fly.
Yeah.
As far as going to like a 91 corporate job or something, like at least at the fractional, you do fly.
Yeah.
And you will accumulate a lot of flight time.
Exactly.
Versus like if you're going corporate, quote unquote, where you fly 150 hours a year, like that's a different scenario.
Yeah.
As far as the progression of your career. But dude, he's 24 years old. Like,
yeah, I think you do the fractional for sure now, and then you can make the decision. Here's a little bit piece of information for long-term planning for us. He obviously already knows this. Denver International, which is a very attainable long-term, major airline goal, right, is a 4-hour drive.
From Casper?
From Casper. So what do you think about a 4-hour drive if you're flying for United?
If you were on like long haul reserve on a wide body, that'd be like a no brainer to drive. If you got called, drive down there. But 4 hours is personally above my 3 hours is kind of my max.
A lot of people do that, but essentially you are still commuting, because most people are coming in the day before if you have a morning trip, or if you come in late at the end of your trip, then you are going to spend the night, unless you have, as they say, commutable on both ends, where you could drive up the same morning. Because like even for Ted, if you have to commute, you have a commutable trip on both ends, it's going to take you're going to have at least that much time, if not more, to be able to accommodate the commute. But I've talked to people. I flew with a dude who commuted by car from Prescott to Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's 4 hours.
When I was DC, I would get guys that drove down from Pittsburgh. It was like 6 hours.
How far is that? Yeah, there's people that do it. It just depends on what
wide body. You're better like wide body, like long term. You're going to do less trips per month, so that's possibly more feasible.
Here's the thing I worry about some of the younger aviators that are coming up right now. He's 24 years old. He said that. Just remember, it's not an if. It's not a when. It's for sure the music will stop with all of this madness. Now, it may take a while, based on what we're seeing has never happened, but at some point, the music will stop. And we've always said, and when you're making these decisions like he is, always consider the fact that where you're going, you may be there a lot longer than you're anticipating. And so if the music stopped and you're at a fractional and you're going to be, sitting there for several years until things recover or whatever, that's not a bad place to be, especially in your scenario.
Yeah.
Versus commuting to a regional job in Denver.
And I don't want to throw like an absolute out, but from what I've seen of my friends at the fractionals, once you are if you got Casper as your, domicile, you're grandfathered in usually if they make changes later on. From what I don't quote me on that 100%, and that would be a question I would have in the interview, especially because Casper's probably like a borderline city. I don't know what the criteria is,
gateway city or whatever.
Yeah, just I don't, it's probably, so that would be a question. One other thing I would look at, and this changes a ton, so it's not like the only thing I make my decision on. When's the last flight out to Casper? But, I'm guessing there's not
at the end of the day
50 cities that are serving Casper. So
just trying to forecast if you're going to be eating, because the thing is, eating a night at a hotel in Denver too is not easy.
Well, no, I'm just saying on the fractional side.
Expensive.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter. They have to get you home. So
right. You get paid more. But I mean, just saying if the last flight's at 5 p.m., you're probably going to have to forecast. You're going to make more money, but you're probably going to have to stay another day. It's just something to think about. If there's
Was he already at a regional, or is he just thinking about it?
CFI.
Well, here's the thing about Denver too. Denver's notoriously senior, no matter what airline you're at. It could take.
That's what he was saying.
That's
what he was saying too. That's best case scenario is commuting out of Denver. Worst case is he's going to be clawing his way up there. So
100%. All right, guys, I got to wrap this up because I got to take my lady to lunch.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Very important.
Yeah.
Thanks for everyone for writing in for flight advice. Thanks to Harvey Watt.
Let us know what you do.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want the follow-up.
Yeah.
I always give all this well thought out professional advice, and then I never hear the end of it. Everyone just takes it and runs. It's not fair. It's not fair to us.
We spent
selfish.
If you could see the amount of time we prepared beforehand to give advice on this topic.
I know. It's like in college, Ted was always known for being a very selfish lover, and I feel like this is the same thing.
Don't be selfish. Share it. All right. Well, if you want to get some advice from us, it's info@2005podcast.com, or you can visit our website for the anonymous form, and we'll be happy to attempt to give you some advice. Here's another piece of advice for you, though. No matter what, if you're doing fractionals, regionals, majors, the money is rolling in, and you need to know how to manage that money. Look, consult a professional. Timothy P. Pope, certified financial planner for professional pilots around the globe. That's who I'd recommend calling. He can help you out, create a financial plan. Check out the show notes to get a link to Tim's calendar. You can get right onto his schedule. It's a free consultation. He'll help you out and help you strategize.
All right. Special thanks to our friend Ted for joining us today.
No problem.
Loves you. Not sure why, but thanks for coming back on.
If you happen to be paired with Ted, please do a sandwich board, a charcuterie board. I want to see someone do a charcuterie board on the Airbus tray, just making it, folding the pepperonis into little flowers.
It's just like cooked Brussels sprouts and eggs and some asparagus.
Be so good. I love it. All right.
Big pickled vegetable guy, Ted.
Yeah. That is going to do it for another episode of the 21.5 Show. Thanks to Harvey Watt. Thanks to Advanced Aircrew Academy, Tim Pope. Thanks to our friend Ted. Thanks to our listeners for all of the great content that they are sending us. We appreciate it. Do your homework. Watch the Keybird documentary. We're going to talk about it on the next episode.
Go to our website, 215podcast.com.
That's right.
Where we'll be located, guys, on the web specifically. Make this as easy as possible, please.
Homepage.
Yeah. We'll have
Right
a link
on
on
the
the
homepage?
homepage.
All right.
Do not
Right
Google
there.
it. Do not know. Okay, Ted. I don't know if you've ever helped us wrap up a show. Do you know our saying? I know you don't listen to our show, but do you know our saying?
Something about air power.
Yeah. It's good enough. That's good enough. All right. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. See you.
What about flexibility is the key to selfish lovemaking?
That's true.
All right, we'll see you next time.
The statements made in this show are our own opinions and do not reflect, nor were they under any direction from any of our employers.